Hello and welcome to part two of the final of the Vanguard Invitational at Cousins Pool and Snooker Bar. I am joined today by my co-commentator Matt.
Pleasure to be here for the final.
Yeah, as we can, yeah, sounds like it. As we can see, we are currently a 2-4 with Wet Bandits taking the lead in this final game of the tournament. What are your thoughts?
What we saw in the first part, if you haven't watched, make sure you go back and watch before this part. Maximum Impact making plenty of mistakes. A lot of self-inflicted shots, which have caused them to give away points, hitting the black ball. On almost every occasion, they've given away a point. Winning a point only by a tie break earlier on. And
All
only one
four
mistake really from Wet Bandits.
Yeah, all four of Wet Bandits' points that they have won have been due to Maximum Impact knocking that black ball. They're really struggling to keep their distance from it. As we discussed in the last game, there are three players on Maximum Impact now, with Chris Hope joining as the wild card. That might be slightly why they are struggling with the synergy in their team. Maybe there's a bit less fluidity between them, but hopefully that they'll get used to playing as a trio, as the game goes on, and they'll play some stronger shots.
Yeah, Wet Bandits have started fantastically in this final. We've seen them beat Maximum Impact before in the group stages, and again we are seeing such a strong start from the Wet Bandits, playing very skillful shots. Teasing Maximum Impact to try and knock their balls out when it's very close to the black ball, making them take risks. They're just playing a fantastic game, especially in the first part as well.
Much more consistent compared to Maximum Impact.
So we're seeing now, as we're looking at the table, the black ball over to the right hand side, central right hand side, in the middle of the scoring zone. Maximum Impact with a lot of work to do here. The Wet Bandits to break.
Wet
Simran, if you're the
Bandits
Wet Bandits here, what would you do? Would you continue playing this way? Do you kind of force Maximum Impact to be a little bit more aggressive with their shots?
Well, I think that Wet Bandits are quite good at being more flexible towards what is required of the game, whether that be attacking or defense. I think taking the far left post is a great option. Steering clear of that black ball, learning from Maximum Impact's mistakes, perhaps. Um, but yeah, I think that Red Bull is unfortunately in quite a dangerous position. They should be probably aiming to make shots that are less exposed. Maximum Impact do have more of a tendency to be very attacking and knock out other players' balls, as opposed to playing it safe. So I'd definitely be aiming for closer to the cushion, closer to the pockets, closer to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Max in Maximum Impact is definitely one of the stronger players when it comes to attacking other teams' balls. But in general, I think the other two players, Maximum Impact, like to play the slower, more defensive game. Whereas the Wet Bandits are very flexible with the way they can attack and defend. I don't think they really stick to just one game plan. I think they're very open to change when necessary. Whereas Maximum Impact, they kind of rely on Max to play that aggressive shot because they know that he normally knows the angles to knock out the balls without any risk to one of their own or the black ball itself. So a very unusual shot there from the Wet Bandits. Trying to obviously like split the two balls as they go past the black, but hit very, very aggressively. Um, Losing one of their balls, putting them at a serious disadvantage going forward here. Um, Making that Wet Bandits have to be very, very aggressive with their shots. However, that has knocked out one of Maximum Impact's balls, but they do have two very, very close to the top of the table, nowhere near the scoring area, putting a lot of work for them to deal with that.
Yeah, still a 2 point difference currently in the scoring zone. Would you be knocking in? Would you be trying to knock in more than one of those red balls, or would you be knocking out a ball as they've done there?
I think
Unfortunately, one of their own, and
I
putting
think
a
the Wet
ball in
Bandits
the
had
post.
no
Yeah, they really didn't have an
choice.
option there.
Yeah, the Wet
Yeah.
Bandits certainly had no choice there in what they had to do. They had a lot of work to do there. They had to try and punt to, whilst also knocking out the yellow in order to just bring it to a tie break. Because Maximum Impact still had a shot to play afterwards too. So very, very difficult there for the Wet Bandits. Score now being 4-3 in the final, two in favour of the Wet Bandits. The black ball now over to the left-hand side, slightly further forward than the previous black ball, meaning that the Maximum Impact have a lot of room to play behind it too.
Mm. It's been quite a tight game so far, in all the points. Normally leading to one team making a small mistake. We
Yeah,
normally
yeah,
don't
exactly.
see that kind of game.
Yeah, I totally agree. When the black ball's really over to one side, teams tend to make the mistake of trying to play near it and costing the team a point. But this black ball certainly does favour Maximum Impact if they were to play very carefully down the left-hand side, with a bit of risk, of course. You know, they've got a lot of shelter there from the black ball. So in the event of a tie break, they would be pretty confident, I'd say, if it was to go that far and they were to play behind the black ball.
Yeah, all of Maximum Impact's balls are currently protected by one ball or another. Luckily for the Wet Bandits, Max of Maximum Impact has just done them a massive favor by knocking out one of their own balls.
Yeah, that is practically impossible for them to knock into the scoring zone. It is right next to the cushion. It is. I'd just say it is impossible in that sense. To even more so now, um, shielded by two red balls. To um, very very sloppy there for Maximum Impact. But then we also have seen the Wet Bandits there hit a very very poor shot themselves. So equally as poor from both sides in this round.
Hmm. Maximum Impact are taking a 2 point lead currently, with Wet Bandits balls unfortunately not making it into the scoring area as efficiently as Maximum Impact.
And that is a fantastic shot there from Max in order to put so much pressure here on the Wet Bandits to do something pretty spectacular. They have to just hit that cluster and hope that lots of balls go out. And unfortunately, they have hit the corner of the middle pocket and it is pinged in the complete wrong way for them. And Maximum Impact have now equalised.
Hey, I'm Kieran, the creator of Rubbish Snooker, which makes art out of litter on an outdoor pool table. And I'm really proud to sponsor the Vanguard Invitational Line Ball Tournament, and check out rubbishsnooker.com.
Oh
So after being
no.
4-2 down, it is now 4-4. The game is once again
Yeah.
tied for the third time.
Mm. The game is afoot. I really that was a brilliant shot there by Max, making the score 6-3, and putting the Wet Bandits in a horrible position. That is the kind of winning shots that we were expecting to see from the beginning from Maximum Impact.
Yeah, right there. That is an example of how to play line ball aggressively on the front foot, putting pressure on the opposition too. And right there as well, we've just seen Maximum Impact start very well with that yellow ball perfectly into that far cushion. Very difficult to knock that out. And we have seen a very aggressive shot here from the Wet Bandits. From Maximum Impact there to knock out one of the Wet Bandits' balls.
Mm. Yeah, they're not wet bandits are opting for the more open side on the far left, unfortunately making themselves much more exposed.
Yeah, that is
However,
the danger.
there is that yellow ball in the way now, in the in out in the open, blocking them from putting a ball back to the right as Maximum Impact have done themselves.
Yeah, Maximum Impact once again showing that offensive side of the game, knocking another one of the Wet Bandits balls out of play now, meaning they only have one ball in the area. And to be honest, they can continue to attack because every ball they've hit so far has been very poor from the Wet Bandits. So they can just keep attacking these balls, making the challenge almost impossible to win. And the Wet Bandits not doing themselves any favours once again. They have 0 balls into the scoring zone. The Wet Bandits have so much work to do here. Every shot that Maximum Impact score, they have to knock a ball out of play and pot one of their own just to win this point. I think this point is well and truly gone for the Wet Bandits, and we will see the turnaround. And once again, we've seen Byron there very aggressively knocking
Ending the
one
suffering.
of the other
Ending
balls.
the suffering,
And
we'll say.
yeah, that's the polite way of putting that. That was almost a perfect round for Maximum Impact there, starting very aggressively. Also
Yeah.
being helped out by Hoy as well with a very sloppy shot. That is a very, very poor shot to start off the round for Maximum Impact.
That could have
Quite a
been it.
contrast from their previous.
The adrenaline, from the last round really got to the max there.
Yeah, he almost just knocked the black ball right at the start. We have seen Maximum Impact. They are known after a really good round just to knock a ball in or tap the black ball on one of their first shots. So it wouldn't be the first time we've seen that happen to Maximum Impact either. So a fantastic turnaround for Maximum Impact from being 4-2 down after the first part to being 5-4 up. So far, making the game a little bit more competitive. We are seeing the better side of Maximum Impact in this half, in this third, I should say, of the final.
Both teams opting to stick to the right side. Unfortunately, there is a very exposed red ball there that will definitely be taken advantage of by Max. But in an
Maximum
okay
Impact is
position.
definitely playing their best game. They are 100% playing that aggressive game. Max has realised that he might need to step up here, being one of the best players in line ball, to claw his team back into it. Give his other teammates a chance to grow into the game a little bit more and actually develop, and maybe they could be the deciding factor further down in the game.
Bit of a weak shot there. Well, I mean, a too strong a shot, making it a weak shot at line ball.
Very, very close there from the Wet Bandits. Hoy with a very aggressive shot, but it has knocked one of the Maximum Impact's balls out of play as well. Also doing them a favour, making that very exposed. I think Byron really does need to take advantage of one of these yellow balls, which are very exposed. Instead, just making sure both his balls get into the scoring area as well. But they have a lot of room to play with here, the Wet Bandits, and knocking out maybe a Maximum Impact ball here and putting the pressure on. And that is a very, very sloppy shot from Max, of all people.
Yeah.
It's very, very unusual.
Lovely shot there, taken by the Wet Bandits to close it off, just knocking in their ball. Slow and simple, really confidently next to the pocket as well, but not at all rattled by that. That point was definitely in the Wet Bandits' favour. Both teams seem to be making a few more mistakes now as we go further into the game. What are your thoughts?
We are coming to the back end now of the knockout stage day, so players might be getting tired halfway through this game now, especially it's a long, grueling game of first to 10 as well. And we have played every point so far, and we are even. So 10 points out of 20, or possible 20 to be played, and we are very much even. So, it's a long way to go still as well for both teams. So it's not only the physical stamina, but the mental one too.
Would you say any team is playing a bit of a stronger game so far?
I do think Maximum Impact, especially in this latter half of the first half of this final, have definitely grown, but they still haven't ironed out all their mistakes. So
Mm.
we
Bit
just
more of an
again see Maximum
inconsistent
Impact.
game.
Yeah, exactly. I think Maximum Impact have made quite a few very silly mistakes to hand the Wet Bandits the points they have won, and that last point should have made it 6-4, but they've basically just given the Wet Bandits a point, almost like they're doing it intentionally to keep the game interesting. Obviously not saying that, of course, but
Mm. Yeah. Are you saying that Wet Bandits didn't deserve that point?
I think Maximum Impact were in a much stronger position there, and Max, of all people, making a sloppy shot. We've seen quite consistently high performance from him throughout the tournament, and very much unlike him going forward.
Gorgeous shot there from Chris, knocking out two of the Wet Bandits balls, with one of his balls and keeping his ball in the scoring zone. More importantly, making the score 4-1.
Yeah, I think Hoy was quite perplexed by that shot. I don't think he was expecting the quality of that shot from Chris whatsoever, because it's really thrown him off there with that shot too. And he has also just missed his shot, not even getting the ball into the scoring area. So again, quite a short shot there from Maximum Impact. Not the best work there from them, but they are still 4-1 up. Pressure is very much on for the Wet Bandits to keep scoring their points. But the shot from Chris there, the shot of this point.
Definitely. I think Chris is really coming into the game now that he's a bit more warmed up, has a better understanding of the opposition and the dynamics within the team.
Yeah, a nice calm shot there from Max. Getting the ball behind that black ball. Very, very difficult there for Hoy to attack any of those three balls behind the
He's
black
gonna
there.
smash it. He's gonna smash
He
it.
knows that he's got a lot of work to do with this shot, which he does do successfully. Unfortunately, not knocking in the second ball. I did think that ball was in, but the line does show that it's not in. So Maximum Impact just need to get their ball into the area. And once again, the pressure is on the Wet Bandits to do their work. 6-3 again on the final ball for the Wet Bandits.
3-point difference. Either they have to get all three of those balls in from the outside, or they have to get in two balls and also knock out an, which I'm not sure is possible. So
I think we need a lot of top spin here. It's a very good attempt. They did knock in two balls, but unfortunately, not quite enough.
Hey, my name's Kieran and I am the creator of Rubbish Snooker, which is proudly sponsoring the Vanguard Invitational Line Ball Pool Tournament. What is Rubbish Snooker? Well, Rubbish Snooker creates art on an outdoor pool table using upcycled and littered lids. This is just one example. They get printed on canvases and they're available at rubbishsnooker.com and Etsy.
yeah,
In order
it was very close to that yellow ball, which is perhaps what they were aiming to get out as well, but maybe not. It wasn't in their favor. One ball went too fast, the other ball didn't go fast enough.
Yeah, so although Maximum Impact giving away a very sloppy point that last time out, again, we are seeing both sides of the coin for Maximum Impact. One side, self-inflicted pain, the other side, high-quality line ball. And at that point, we definitely saw the latter.
But you can really see Maximum Impact clawing their way back into the game. We're seeing a much stronger performance from them as we go further in. Wet Bandits are definitely taking notice and are perhaps trying to, come onto the same level as Maximum Impact,
Yeah, I
which
think,
they will
as we
definitely
just
have
seen
to
here,
do.
this is definitely the shot I would have gone for. Unfortunately, I don't think it's gone quite far enough. Hasn't quite benefited them in that sense, with that yellow ball being where it is. But there was the right intention there, starting on the aggressive side. Maybe they should just focus, maybe even just potting that yellow ball into one of those side cushions there, getting it completely out of play. But But a very sloppy shot there from Hoy. Once again, we have seen him hit the black ball with a shot which maybe should have been taken more carefully. And now Maximum Impact have taken a 7-5 lead in the final. A 2-point lead at this point is a dangerous one.
Well, I mean, Chris's like main shot seems to be knocking out two balls at once really, really well, and also keeping his own ball in the scoring zone. Creating a 3-point difference each time, which is really rattling the Wet Bandits.
Yeah, it's the Wet Bandits certainly are rattled now. They were 4-2 up, now they're 7-5 down. So they do need to rediscover that early form they found in the tournament, and also in this final. Otherwise, this game will slip away from them very, very quickly.
Yeah, Matt's not doing enough there, unfortunately, to knock out the red ball, which has been taken advantage of by Hoy.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of work here for the Wet Bandits to do, and Maximum Impact are not making it easy for them whatsoever. Yeah, we're certainly seeing a danger here with the shots that the Wet Bandits are taking. Very central in the table, very exposed to Maximum Impact, which they could very easily take advantage of.
Yeah, not sure why they have chosen to keep their shots more central. Bit of an interesting move, a power move perhaps. Hoy trying to avoid the central area, but I don't know, maybe those red balls are attracting each other.
It's almost a gift for Maximum Impact. We're approaching that Christmas period when this is going to be released. So, maybe a nice early gift for Maximum Impact. Shooting down the middle saying, take the balls as you will.
The Wet Bandits trying to get more into that clustered area on the left, unfortunately having a very exposed ball.
Not quite what Maximum Impact were hoping to do there, knocking both their balls into the play. Hoy needs to hit this with a lot of topspin. Unfortunately, hasn't done that, and he has knocked his own ball out of play, potentially just giving this point over. Potentially giving this point over to Maximum Impact once again, which is a real shame. A lot of work here for Hoy to do. The Wet Bandits to do. Unfortunate for them. Byron has to perform
both of those balls in. It's time to get both of those balls in. Or pot
yeah,
ball.
I think Byron had the right idea. Yeah, trying to knock out the big old cluster of balls. Pot one in, get one out. Unfortunately, didn't quite achieve what he wanted to do there. And now we see Maximum Impact, after the first half being 4-2 down, are now 8-5 up. A very, very strong turnaround here for Maximum Impact when all hope might have seemed lost.
Yeah, Maximum Impact really coming back with a bang, and the Wet Bandits not prepared for it at all. We're really seeing a difference in skill levels now as we get closer to the end of the game. I really do hope the Wet Bandits are able to step up to the challenge.
I do hope that this final part of the final will be very entertaining. It won't just be a quick 2 points for Maximum Impact and the final's done. So I do hope that the Wet Bandits bring their best, their A game for this final bit. Maybe perform on the turnarounds of the line ball century and win this final and win the tournament. So hoping for the best for the Wet Bandits. Not to discredit Maximum Impact as well.
Yeah, our next video will be the final game of this final of the entire Vanguard Invitational. If you have made it all the way through, I'm sure you are just as excited as myself and my co-commentator, Matt. Matt, how are you feeling going into the next?
This final has been fantastic. We've seen the ups and downs. We've seen the best and worst of line ball throughout this game as well. The best and worst from players who have been consistent throughout as well. So I'm hoping that they all bring their A game, make it the most intense final part we will ever see in line ball, and we will crown a winner. So I'm hoping for the best for both teams. They have both played fantastic so far, made it an entertaining game. So I hope that the final part will just be as exciting.
We are definitely seeing both teams. We are definitely seeing our two strongest teams play in this final. They have really both brought their A game, and they are not going to go down without a fight. I'd like to thank Cousins Pool and Snooker Bar for hosting this tournament, as well as Rubbish Snooker for sponsoring the tournament, and will be awarding the prizes to the winner of this whole tournament, which will be announced in the next video. So do stay tuned in the next video every Tuesday and Thursday to find out who will be crowned champion, who will get the glory, and who will be pointed at and laughed at for losing. Matt, your final thoughts?
Well, good luck to both teams going into this final part. Hoping for the best for either side. I can't call if Maximum Impact will just be a clean sweep, or if we'll see a fantastic comeback from Hoy and Byron here. They are very much capable of it, so fingers crossed for them as well. Hoping that they put on a good performance that they can be proud of, and hopefully they will not be the ones being pointed and laughed at, as Simran said.
Please do leave a comment and let us know your thoughts, who you think will win, who are your favourites, who made the worst shots, who made the best shots. We do like to hear your thoughts. I have been Simran.
Matt.
And thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.
Hi everybody, my name is Max Barrett and I'm the creator of Lion Ball Pool. I just wanted to hop in at the end of the video to say thank you so much for tuning in to the episodes of the tournament. We really appreciate you watching and supporting, so make sure if you enjoy these episodes, subscribe to the channel. At the moment we are uploading every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 PM UK time, so your subscription, it goes a long way. And the other thing I'd like to ask you to do is play line ball. Go and play it in your local pool bar, snooker lounge, wherever you have access to, because we've had a lot of the players who are playing in this tournament be approached by other people in the pool bar, asking them what they're playing, having some rounds of line ball, teaching each other the rules and trying out new tactics. So by playing line ball and just going out there and enjoying it, you are helping to spread the brilliant work we're doing here on the channel and introducing a brand new game and bringing people together. So that means everything. And the other thing I'd love to do, and this is a bit of a reach, I would love to play line ball pool against Keanu Reeves. Now, can we make it happen? He is one of my favourite actors of all time. He is an inspiration, and if I could play against him in a game of line ball, then I've won. So let's see if we can do it. Subscribe, comment, like, and let's see. I'll see you in the next video.